Leaders Eat Last, by Sinek. Introduction. Imagine this for a moment. The sky is pitch black. A thick blanket of clouds swallows the moon and stars, leaving nothing but darkness. Below, on the rocky terrain of a deep Afghan valley, a team of 22 Special Operations Forces moves slowly, cautiously. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of the wind puts them on edge. They know they're being watched. This is 2002. A year hasn't even passed since the attacks of September 11th. These soldiers are deep inside enemy territory, on a mission that, to this day, remains classified. Flying thousands of feet above them, circling in an A-10 Warthog, is Captain Mike Drowley, call sign, Johnny Bravo. Up there, it's peaceful. The moon lights up the clouds like a fresh blanket of snow. But Johnny Bravo isn't looking at the stars. He's listening. Listening to the tense, clipped radio chatter from the men on the ground. He can't see them, but he can feel their anxiety. His gut tells him something is wrong. Against protocol, he decides to do something incredibly dangerous. He's going to perform a weather letdown, plunging his jet down through the storm clouds, into the valley, flying blind with only his instruments and his instincts to guide him. He wasn't ordered to do it. In fact, he probably would have been told not to. But just as he prepares to descend into the blackness, 3 words crackle over the radio. 3 words that send a shiver down the spine of any pilot. Troops in contact. It's the call that means the men on the ground are under attack. They're in trouble. Johnny Bravo points his aircraft down into the storm. His plane is thrashed about by turbulence. He breaks through the clouds less than 1,000 feet from the ground, and the sight that greets him is something out of a nightmare. Enemy fire is coming from both sides of the valley, a storm of bullets and rockets all aimed at the 22 men pinned down below. He has no modern GPS, only old Soviet maps. He could hit a mountain wall at any second. But as he'll tell you, there are fates worse than death. One is accidentally killing your own men. Another is going home alive when 22 others don't, so he does what he has to do. He dives in, guns blazing, counting the seconds before he has to pull up to avoid crashing. He goes around again. And again. And again. That night, because of his courage, 22 American soldiers went home alive. Why did he do it? Why risk everything for men he couldn't even see? When you ask remarkable people like Johnny Bravo why they do what they do, they almost always give the same answer: because they would have done it for me. That feeling, that deep, unshakable trust, is at the very heart of Simon Sinek's incredible book, Leaders Eat Last. This isn't just a book about business management. It's a journey into the biology of leadership itself. It uncovers a hidden code, written into our DNA, that explains why some teams pull together and others fall apart. By the end of our time together today, you will understand the powerful, invisible chemicals that drive all human behavior. You'll see why you feel happy, why you feel stressed, and why you feel a deep connection to some people but not others. And most importantly, you'll discover the one secret that great leaders use to build circles of safety, turning paranoid, self-interested groups into loyal, trusting, and unbeatable teams. This isn't just about becoming a better leader. It's about understanding what it means to be human. Book summary. So, let's start with a question that I think we've all felt at some point. Why is it that some of us wake up on Monday morning excited to go to work, while so many others dread it? Why do some teams feel like a family, while others feel like a collection of strangers just trying to survive the week? We often think it's about the work itself, or the salary, or the perks. But the author argues it's something much, much deeper. It's about a feeling. The feeling of being safe. Think about the world our ancestors lived in, 50,000 years ago. It was filled with danger. Saber-toothed tigers, harsh weather, a constant scarcity of food. To survive, we couldn't go it alone. We had to work together. We formed tribes, and within that tribe, we created a circle of trust. A circle of safety. Inside the circle, we looked out for each other. We shared our food. We protected each other from harm. When we felt safe among our own, we could relax, cooperate, and innovate. But when we had to worry about dangers from inside the tribe, people who would steal our food or leave us behind, the whole system collapsed. We'd spend all our energy protecting ourselves from each other, making us weak and vulnerable to the dangers outside. Now, fast forward to today. The saber-toothed tigers are gone, but the dangers are still there. They've just changed their shape. Now, the dangers are a downturn in the economy, a new technology that makes our business obsolete, or a competitor trying to steal our customers. These outside dangers are constant and they will never go away. But what about the dangers inside our organizations? The office politics, the fear of speaking up, the feeling that your boss cares more about the numbers than about you. The anxiety that you could be laid off at any moment if the company misses its quarterly targets. These internal dangers, the author explains, destroy the circle of safety. When that circle is broken, we stop trusting each other. We become cynical and self-interested. We hide information, we cover up mistakes, and we spend our days watching our own backs instead of looking out for the team. The organization becomes weak. The primary job of a leader, Sinek argues, is not to be in charge. It's to take charge of the circle of safety. To create an environment where people feel protected from the dangers within, so they can unite to face the dangers outside. This isn't just a nice idea. It's pure biology. Our bodies are designed with a brilliant, ancient system of chemicals that reward us for behaviors that help the tribe survive. Sinek breaks them down into 4 main happy chemicals. Understanding them is like getting the owner's manual for the human machine. Let's call the first 2 the selfish chemicals. They're all about individual survival and achievement. First, there's endorphins. Their only job is to mask physical pain. Think of a runner's high. You're pushing your body to its limit. You're exhausted, but you feel incredible. That's endorphins. For our ancestors, this was crucial. It allowed a hunter to run for miles, exhausted and in pain, to track down food for the tribe, and still have the stamina to make it home. Endorphins give us endurance. Then there's dopamine. This is the chemical of progress and accomplishment. It's that wonderful feeling you get when you cross something off your to-do list, when you reach a goal, or when you finally find something you were looking for. Dopamine is what makes us a goal-oriented species. When we can see a target, whether it's a fruit tree in the distance or a sales target on a spreadsheet, we get a little hit of dopamine that motivates us to keep going. The bigger the goal, the bigger the dopamine rush when we achieve it. These 2 chemicals, endorphins and dopamine, are fantastic. They drive us to get things done. But there's a catch. Dopamine is highly addictive. Alcohol, nicotine, gambling, they all release dopamine. And in our modern world, we've created other addictions. The ding of a new email. The buzz of a text message. The number of likes on a social media post. Each one is a little dopamine hit. And in the business world, we've built entire cultures around it. Performance bonuses, sales targets, quarterly reports, it's all about getting that next hit of achievement. When we become addicted to performance, we start to prioritize the numbers over everything else. We become obsessed with short-term gains, even if it means sacrificing relationships or long-term stability. The feeling of success is great, but it's fleeting. And it doesn't create loyalty or trust. That's where the other 2 chemicals come in. Let's call them the selfless chemicals. These are the ones that bind us together. First, you have serotonin. This is the leadership chemical. It's the feeling of pride, of status, of public recognition. When you walk across the stage at graduation and everyone cheers, that feeling of confidence and accomplishment is serotonin. It feels good to be respected. But here's the beautiful part. At the exact moment you feel that pride, your parents in the audience feel it too. Serotonin is designed to reinforce the relationship between the one who achieves and the one who supported them. It strengthens the bond between leader and follower, parent and child, coach and player. This is why we feel a deep sense of responsibility to make our leaders and mentors proud. We can't feel accountable to a number, we can only feel accountable to people. And finally, there's the most remarkable chemical of all, oxytocin. This is the chemical of love, trust, and deep friendship. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you hug someone you care about, or when you perform an act of generosity. It's released through physical touch and through shared acts of kindness. Oxytocin is the glue that builds the circle of safety. Unlike dopamine, which is instant and short-lived, oxytocin is slow-acting and long-lasting. It takes time to build trust. It's the feeling that someone has your back, no matter what. My favorite definition of love is giving someone the power to destroy you, but trusting them not to. That's oxytocin. When we work in an environment where leaders foster trust and generosity, where people feel safe enough to be vulnerable, oxytocin flows. It boosts our immune system, makes us better problem solvers, and creates a deep sense of belonging. It's the reason people will turn down a higher-paying job to stay with a team they love. So you have these 4 chemicals. 2 that push us to achieve for ourselves, and 2 that bind us together to serve others. A healthy, high-performing team, a strong circle of safety, is one where all 4 are in balance. But in too many modern organizations, that balance is completely off. We've become a society of addicts, hooked on the quick hits of dopamine and starved for the lasting fulfillment of serotonin and oxytocin. So what happens when the balance is broken? We get the 5th chemical, cortisol. Cortisol is our built-in alarm system. It's the chemical of stress and anxiety. It's that feeling of dread you get when you hear a bump in the night, or when you get an urgent email from your boss. Cortisol puts you on high alert, preparing you for a threat. It's designed to be a short burst, it floods your system, you deal with the danger, and then it goes away. But in a weak circle of safety, the threat is constant. The office politics, the fear of layoffs, the pressure to hit unrealistic targets, it's like a slow, constant drip of cortisol into our veins. And this is incredibly destructive. Cortisol actually inhibits the release of oxytocin. In other words, when we are stressed and afraid, our capacity for empathy and trust shuts down. We become more selfish, more paranoid, and less willing to cooperate. Our bodies literally go into survival mode. And it's killing us. The author points to the famous Whitehall studies in Britain, which found that an employee's stress level is not determined by the pressure of their job, but by the amount of control they feel they have. The lower someone's rank in the hierarchy, the less control they feel, and the higher their risk of stress-related illnesses like heart disease. Having a job you hate, where you feel unsupported and out of control, can be as bad for your health as being unemployed. Our jobs are literally making us sick. This is the reality for millions of people. So how do we fix it? How do we build that circle of safety? This is where the title of the book comes into play. Leaders Eat Last. It comes from a tradition in the United States Marine Corps. When it's time to eat, the most junior Marines are served first, and the most senior officers are served last. It's not a written rule, it's a deeply ingrained cultural practice. And it's a powerful symbol. The rank and perks of leadership, the better pay, the bigger office, are not the reward for being in charge. They are the reward for the willingness to put the needs of your people before your own. True leadership is not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge. The price of leadership is self-interest. It's the willingness to run headfirst into danger, to sacrifice what is yours to save what is ours. When we feel that our leaders are willing to make that sacrifice, we will offer them our blood, sweat, and tears in return. We will work tirelessly to see their vision come to life, and we will proudly call ourselves their followers. This isn't just a military concept. The book is filled with incredible stories of leaders who live this philosophy. Take Bob Chapman, the CEO of a manufacturing company called Barry Weckmiller. When he took over a struggling factory in South Carolina, he found a place that felt like a prison. Factory workers had to punch a time clock, wait for bells to tell them when they could take a break, and even ask for permission to use a payphone. Office workers, on the other hand, were treated like trusted adults. There were two different companies under one roof. Chapman saw this and realized it was destroying the spirit of his people. So he did something radical. He ordered the time clocks removed. He got rid of the bells. He took down the locked cages where spare parts were kept and told the workers they could take what they needed, on trust. He treated them like human beings. And what happened? The culture transformed. People started to care for each other. When one employee's wife was sick and he couldn't afford to take time off, his colleagues donated their own vacation days to him, something that had been against company policy. Trust became the new standard. And the company thrived. Revenue soared, not because of some new strategy, but because the people felt valued. As Chapman says, every single employee is someone's son or daughter. And a leader's responsibility is to care for them as if they were their own. Then there's the story of Costco. In an industry famous for low wages and high turnover, Costco pays its employees an average wage that's nearly double the federal minimum. It provides health insurance for almost all of its workers and promotes managers from within, often starting them as cashiers. Wall Street analysts have criticized them for being too benevolent to their employees. But what are the results? Costco has one of the lowest turnover rates in retail. Its employees are fiercely loyal. And if you had invested in Costco and General Electric run by the famous Rank and Yank CEO Jack Welch back in the mid-80s, your investment in the people-first culture of Costco would have grown at twice the rate. Why? Because, as the author says, customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. The opposite is also true. The book details the tragic story of Stanley O'Neill's rise to CEO of Merrill Lynch. He despised the company's family-like culture, seeing it as soft. He fostered intense internal competition, pitting his own people against each other. He isolated himself in his office, taking a private elevator and instructing employees not to speak to him. He created a culture of pure dopamine and cortisol, a world of paranoia, self-interest, and fear. And when the 2008 financial crisis hit, the company collapsed. There was no trust, no loyalty, no one willing to sacrifice for the good of the team. The circle of safety had been shattered, and everyone ran for themselves. So if the biology is so clear, and the examples are so powerful, why don't more companies operate this way? Why have we built a world that seems to work against our natural inclinations? The author argues it's because of a very modern problem: abstraction. Think about the Milgram experiment from the 1960s. Volunteers were told to administer electric shocks to a person in another room every time they answered a question incorrectly. The shocks got progressively stronger, all the way to a level marked 30, danger, severe shock. What the volunteers didn't know was that the person in the other room was an actor, and the shocks weren't real. When the volunteer could hear the person screaming in pain, many of them refused to continue. But when they were completely separated, when they couldn't see or hear the person they were hurting, a horrifying 65% of them went all the way to the maximum voltage. The physical distance, the abstraction, made it possible for good people to do terrible things. In our modern world, we don't need a separate room to create abstraction. We have spreadsheets. We have data. We have email. We lead people we've never met. We make decisions that affect the lives of thousands of people who are nothing more than a number on a chart. The larger an organization gets, the more abstract it becomes. We stop seeing people and we start seeing metrics. The author calls this destructive abundance. We have an abundance of resources, an abundance of data, but a scarcity of real human connection. And so, like the volunteers in the Milgram experiment, we become capable of making decisions that harm people, because we can't see the consequences. A layoff of 10,000 people becomes a necessary cost-cutting measure, not 10,000 families losing their livelihood. This is the challenge of modern leadership. How do you fight abstraction? How do you keep the human element alive in a world of numbers? Sinek offers a few simple, powerful rules. First, keep it real. Bring people together. Nothing can replace face-to-face interaction for building trust. The handshake, the shared meal, the casual conversation, these are the things that release oxytocin and strengthen the circle of safety. Second, keep it manageable. He talks about Dunbar's number, the idea that humans can only maintain about 150 stable relationships. Once a group gets bigger than that, trust starts to break down. This is why small companies are often so innovative and tight-knit. For large companies, the only way to manage this is to empower leaders at every level to create smaller, nested circles of safety. Third, meet the people you help. Sinek tells the story of university fundraisers whose performance skyrocketed by over 400% after they spent just 5 minutes listening to a student explain how the scholarship they raised had changed their life. When we can see the tangible human impact of our work, it fills us with a sense of purpose that no bonus ever could. And finally, be patient. Real trust, real relationships, don't happen overnight. They can't be rushed. They are the slow, steady result of showing up, day after day, and proving that you care. At its core, this book is a call to return to what makes us human. We are not wired for selfishness. We are wired for cooperation, for service, for connection. Human beings have thrived for 50,000 years, not because we are driven to serve ourselves, but because we are inspired to serve others. Leadership is not a rank you achieve. It is a choice you make. It's the choice to look out for the person to your left and the person to your right. And when we make that choice, when we commit to building a circle of safety, we don't just build stronger companies. We build a better world. The ultimate lesson is simple, yet profound. Everything about being a leader is like being a parent. It's about committing to the well-being of those in your care, and having a willingness to sacrifice your own interests to see them grow and succeed. It's not a license to do less, it is a responsibility to do more. It takes work. It takes time. It takes courage. But the reward is the greatest feeling any human can ever know, the pride and love that comes from watching those you lead achieve more than you could have ever imagined. Commentary. As we step back and look at the big picture Simon Sinek paints in Leaders Eat Last, it's hard not to feel a mix of both frustration and hope. The frustration comes from recognizing just how many of our modern workplaces feel like the before picture in his stories, environments filled with stress, anxiety, and a quiet sense of just trying to get through the day. We've all been there. We've all worked for a boss who made us feel small, or been on a team where everyone was out for themselves. The book gives a name and a biological reason for that feeling of unease. It validates our experience and tells us we're not crazy for feeling that way. But the hope is overwhelming. The most powerful lesson for me is that great leadership isn't some mystical quality you're born with. It's not about charisma or genius. It's a series of conscious, learnable choices based on a fundamental principle: empathy. It's about seeing the human beings in your care and choosing to protect them. This idea democratizes leadership. It means anyone, at any level of an organization, can choose to be a leader. You don't need a title to look out for the person next to you. You don't need authority to offer your time and energy to help someone else succeed. You can choose to be the leader you wish you had, right now, today. This book matters so much right now because we're living in an age of unprecedented abstraction. We connect through screens, we measure success in data, and we can easily forget the human beings on the other side of our decisions. Sinek's work is a powerful antidote to that. It's a call to put down the spreadsheets and go shake someone's hand. To turn off the email and listen. To remember that at the end of the day, business is a human enterprise. So, how can you start applying these ideas right now, in your own life? It doesn't require a massive reorganization. It starts with small, consistent actions. Here are a few to get you started. First, practice eyeball leadership. This is a term the Marines use. It simply means getting out from behind your desk and spending time with your people. Make a commitment this week to have one conversation with a colleague with no agenda other than to ask them how they are doing and to genuinely listen to the answer. Make them feel seen. Second, find a 5-minute moment. Just like the university fundraisers, find a way to connect your work, or your team's work, to the real people it impacts. If you're a student, take a moment to thank a teacher and tell them specifically how they've helped you. If you work in customer service, share a positive customer story with your team. Make the human impact of your work tangible. And third, practice eating last. This is a metaphor, of course. Look for a small opportunity to put someone else's needs before your own. Let a colleague take credit for a shared success. Stay a few minutes late to help someone finish a task. Offer your time, your most valuable and non-renewable resource, to someone who needs it. These small acts are the building blocks of trust. They are the foundation of the circle of safety. That was a summary of Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary is like looking at a travel brochure. It can show you the beautiful sights, but it can never replace the feeling of actually being there. The real magic of this book happens when you read it yourself. It's in the quiet moments when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with your own experience in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this journey is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today has struck a chord with you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your role in the lives of others. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and keep leading together.